Welcome back to Ms.Shortcut, where we explore the journey of nations through the lenses of history, economy, and society. Today, we're traveling down under, to Australia, a land of vast landscapes, golden opportunities, and resilient people. Let's dive into how Australia grew from a remote colony into one of the most prosperous and vibrant countries on Earth. Early history and colonization. Before Europeans arrived, Australia was inhabited for over 60,000 years by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, rich cultures with deep spiritual connections to the land. In 1770, Captain James Cook claimed the east coast for Britain. By 1788, the first British penal colony was established at Sydney Cove. Initially, Australia was seen as a distant outpost, a place for prisoners, not a thriving society. Despite harsh conditions, settlers adapted, and new colonies formed across the continent. Economic development. The gold rushes of the 1850s changed everything. Thousands flooded into Victoria and New South Wales, bringing prosperity, infrastructure, and a surge in population. Melbourne grew rapidly. At one point, it was one of the richest cities in the world. Agriculture, especially sheep farming for wool exports, became another economic backbone. Later, mining expanded beyond gold to include coal, iron ore, and natural gas, resources that continue fueling Australia's economy today. By the 20th century, Australia's economy diversified into manufacturing and services, becoming a dynamic and resilient system. Political evolution. The late 1800s saw strong movements toward unifying the colonies. On January 1, 1901, Australia became a federated nation, the Commonwealth of Australia, under a constitution that mirrored the British parliamentary system. Australia maintained close ties with Britain but increasingly forged its own identity, especially after the sacrifices of Australian troops during World War I and II. The 20th century witnessed the strengthening of democracy, the extension of voting rights to women in 1902, and gradual political independence from Britain. Social changes. Australia's social fabric transformed dramatically after World War II. A massive immigration program brought millions from Europe and later Asia, diversifying the population and fueling economic growth. However, Australia's relationship with its indigenous peoples has been complex and painful. The late 20th century saw growing recognition of Aboriginal rights, including landmark legal cases like Mabwa in 1992, acknowledging native title to land. Today, Australia embraces multiculturalism while continuing to grapple with historical injustices. Modern Australia. Today, Australia is home to approximately 26.9 million people as of 2025. Making it one of the most sparsely populated countries relative to its vast size. The population is concentrated along the eastern and southeastern coastlines, with major cities like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, and Adelaide dominating cultural and economic life. Australia is a multicultural society, with nearly 30% of its residents born overseas, reflecting immigration's major role in shaping its modern identity. Economically, Australia ranks as the 13th largest economy in the world, with a GDP of approximately $1.7 trillion. Its economy is powered by several key sectors. Mining and resources. Australia is a global leader in iron ore, coal, natural gas, and gold exports. Services sector, accounting for about 70% of GDP, including finance, education, tourism, and healthcare. Agriculture, a major producer of wheat, beef, wool, and wine, supplying markets worldwide. Technology and innovation, growing steadily, especially in financial tech, health tech, and renewable energy. Australia's economic resilience is often credited to its ability to balance resource exports with a strong services industry and stable political institutions. However, Australia faces significant challenges as it looks to the future. Climate change. With its susceptibility to droughts, bushfires, and coastal erosion, Australia is at the front line of global environmental changes. Housing affordability. Soaring property prices, especially in cities like Sydney and Melbourne, have created barriers for younger generations. Indigenous reconciliation. efforts continue to address the historical and ongoing injustices faced by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. Economic diversification. As global demand for fossil fuels shifts, Australia must innovate to sustain long-term economic growth. Despite these challenges, Australia remains an influential voice in international affairs, a global advocate for democracy and human rights, and one of the world's most desirable places to live. Australia's story is one of resilience, opportunity, and reinvention. From ancient traditions to a modern multicultural powerhouse, Australia continues to evolve, inspiring the world with its spirit and strength. Thank you for joining Ms. Shortcut on this journey through Australia's remarkable evolution. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because in our next video, we're heading to the heart of Europe to discover the economic, political, and social history of Germany. How did Germany rise from a patchwork of kingdoms to become one of the world's strongest economies? And how has its past shaped its role on the global stage today? Stay tuned for another deep dive. Until then, keep exploring, stay curious, and take the shortcut to knowledge with Ms. Shortcut. Ms. Shortcut, your shortcut to the smartest country stories.